Basilica of Santa Maria della Roccella, or the Church of St. Mary, in the town of Borgia, in the Calabrian region. Exterior. History of the town. Not far from the city of Catanzaro, on the Ionian coast of the Gulf of Schilacium, in the shade of ancient olive trees, there is a wonderful archaeological reserve called the Scolacium Park and Roccelletta, which was founded in 1982. The name Roccelletta comes from the close location of the town to the mountainous gorges. The roots of this settlement can be traced back to the era of ancient Greece. The Greeks called it Skylletion, and this name is mentioned as far back as the 6th century BC. In the Roman epoch, the settlement was renamed Scolacium. Such ancient authors as Strabo and Pliny attributed the foundation of the Greek town to Menethnius, who landed there during the Trojan War. According to another mythological story told by Cassiodorus living in this region in the 6th century, it was founded by Odysseus. One more hypothesis relates to the origin of the city to the development of the large Greek city of Croton, which, in accordance with the written sources, was founded in the 8th century BC. Unfortunately, little is known about Skylletion from the Greek period. Nevertheless, it was an important commercial center for a huge area, from the Ionian to the Tyrrhenian coast. Because of its advantageous location, the town has always been an attractive lure for conquerors. Now and again, the town was reconquered by the Syracusians from the Greeks. It was the possession of Epizephirian Locris and was also conquered by the Bruti tribes, who controlled this territory from the middle of the 4th century until the end of the 3rd century BC. The Roman rule was established in that territory after the Second Punic War, the years of 123 through 122 BC, when the elected tribune was Gaius Sempronius Gracchus, marked the establishment of the Minerva Scolacium colony and the colonies of Tarentum, Capua, and Carthage. The Romans restored the ruins of the theater and the forum, but they did not erect fortification walls because there was no threat of external attacks. Today, in the Museum of the Archaeological Park, we can see examples of Roman sculpture, including the portraits of Nerva, who was the Roman emperor in 96 through 98 and made great efforts to restore the town's former magnificence, and Antonius Pius, who reigned in 138 through 161, who built a new aqueduct in the town. The epoch of the Roman Empire became an ideal period for agricultural development. At the end of the Gothic War, which lasted from 535 through 553, it was a flourishing territory. It was the period when the defensive walls were constructed. In the 7th century, when the Scolacium was part of the Byzantine Empire, its population left the coastline and moved to a higher area, to a place called Schilacium. The bishop residence was also transferred there. The area in the lowlands, where the park is located today, was populated a little later. In 904, Scolacium was occupied by the Arabs and, in the second half of the 10th century, it was reconquered by the Byzantines. In the middle of the 11th century, it became the possession of the Normans. Between the 10th and 11th centuries, the towns of Borgia and Scolacium were controlled by the Byzantines. History of the Basilica. The basilica was most likely built in the Norman era on the site of a church constructed there in some earlier period. There is documentary evidence testifying to its existence in the beginning of the 11th century. The date of the basilica's erection was the object of heated debates among researchers. According to some of them, the church was built after the reign of Constantine the Great, or in the late Middle Ages, either in the 5th and 6th or 7th and 8th centuries. The church was also assumed to have been built by Greek monks of the Eastern Rite before the Norman conquest. The most probable version of events is that the temple, the remains of which have survived to this day, date to the Norman era or to the early years of the Kingdom of Sicily, between 1130 and 1150. However, it has some Byzantine features. Architects and sculptors of that time were fascinated by Byzantine culture, and it is easily noticeable in Calabria. When the Normans of Palermo tried to increase the authority of the Pope and to weaken the Greek influence in the south of the region, the basilica became the episcopal residence. The main purpose was to strengthen the Catholic Church in the new outpost of the Normans. There are written sources reporting to the existence of a monastery of the Oriental or Eastern Rite, which became the core for the foundation of Roccelletta.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?